Y'all smell that? Oh, I smell football.
Who's ranked, who's real, who's built to last, who got exposed, who's moving fast. From the HBCU pride to the Power 5 lights, we talk football every week, every night. Fans in the stands, drums on go, lights on bright, and the crowd moves slow. Big hits, ball picks, everybody knows. Daniel Roundtree got the football show.
Ahoy! I'm Daniel Roundtree. This is the Daniel Roundtree College Football Show. Oh, football is coming. Listen, if you're watching this, we are just 2 weeks out from the 2026 college football season kicking off. I don't know about you, but I smell football. It's right around the corner. I can't wait for this season. I think we have a lot in store this year for the 2026 college football season. Hey, if you didn't know, today is a new day. That means it is a good day to talk college football. And boy, oh boy, do we have a lot to talk about today. It's going to be a great episode as always. I took a little time and I'm glad I did because I've been able to sit back and watch and see what's going on in the college football landscape now that all these guys are in camp. And they're getting ready. They're having their scrimmages. In another week or so, it's going to throttle down and it's going to be game prep because the games are about to start flying. And the guns are loaded, but ain't nobody shoot yet. So listen, you know me, I don't like to waste your time. So I'm going to get right into it today. We're talking college football landscape. We're definitely absolutely going to talk the new college football rules. We're going to talk a lot of different hot topics from quarterback battles to returning players. There's a lot going on right now in college football. Before we get right into the episode, I just want to say, hey, thank you. Thank you for deciding to watch this video today. I appreciate you. So if you didn't know, I have a big goal. I am trying to reach 500 subscribers. So now is the perfect time. If you haven't already, please consider tapping that subscribe button, like this video, turn on the alerts, because listen, what do you have to lose? If you like college football content, we've got more of this coming your way. So listen, I took some time. I had to plan everything out. I also just wanted to sit and watch what's going on in camp and kind of figure out what this college football season is going to look like. I'll be honest with you all. I filmed a few videos and it was season predictions, right? And I did Michigan, I did LSU, I did Indiana, I did Miami. And I've been debating, should I put them out or not? Because I almost feel like, okay, I'm cool with college football predictions. You feel me? I'm cool with that. But when we talk season predictions and I haven't even seen not one game, I'm hearing all these rumors of camp, but you let me know. Do you want my season predictions for some of these big teams, right? Some of these teams that have the giant fan bases. If you want me to do your team's season prediction without seeing one game played way too early preseason, drop it in the comments, let me know. Do Michigan, do Miami, do LSU, and I will drop it. I already have some pre-recorded. I just don't know if it's fair to do it without seeing what's really going on with these teams. But listen, we've got college football games coming in just a few weeks. If you're not excited, I don't know what's wrong with you. You might be at the wrong channel if you're not excited because we're almost here. And I got a big laundry list of key things to talk about. Let's get right into one of the biggest hot topics right now. There's multiple players returning to college football for a final year. Listen, this is a crazy time. The NIL era was one thing, right? Then we moved from the NIL to what I call the lawsuit era, which is still going on. The last 2 years have been crazy regarding the NCAA getting sued for just about everything. Players ruled ineligible and then get the NCAA gets sued and they're no longer ineligible. Now, the new ruling coming out of Colorado has allowed players who graduated in the 2022 to come back for a fifth year. And there are guys who are already doing it. Listen, this is crazy. This is crazy because some of these guys went through the whole draft process. And listen, I get it. It's different. A lot of these guys already have agents. So it's not that crazy that they've already talked to an agent, but it is a little crazy that some of these guys went through the whole draft process. However, the judge that did set this ruling did clarify guys who have made it into training camps have exhausted their amateurism, right? So guys that are coming back are guys that really didn't get opportunity. They obviously didn't get drafted. They obviously didn't really go to camp. So there's some key guys, and I'm going to read off some of these guys right now that are coming back to their school to play this season. They're in camp right now. This is very interesting because, listen, the NCAA is already saying they're trying to appeal it within the court system. Are they going to have time? Are y'all going to have time? Listen, the season starts in a couple weeks, and we all know once a guy hits that field, there's no reversing it. They're not going to be able to say, oh, well, even though this guy has played in 2 games, he can't play the rest of the season. If they do that, madness will ensue. It's going to be crazy. But let's talk about some of these teams, and just excuse my reading because I want to make sure I get you guys these names correctly. But Arizona, so they're a big winner here. Arizona running back Ismail Mahdi and linebacker Max Harris, they both rejoined the team at Arizona for the Arizona Wildcats. This is pretty significant because this was actually Arizona's leading rusher last season for the Arizona Wildcat team that was pretty good, very, very much improved. And listen, if you watch some of my other videos, Arizona now, you got to hear me, they're a little bit of a dark horse to potentially win the Big 12 quietly. They got Noah Fafita. They got some guys, and that defense was really improved last year. Now they're bringing back all this experience as their leading rusher comes back. So he had 853 yards last year, 4 touchdowns. He also caught 17 passes, 119 yards, and a touchdown in the passing game. And then Max Harris, the linebacker, this guy was pretty dang good too. This guy, all Big 12 honorable mention selection last year. He finished with 78 tackles, including 3.5 tackles for a loss. Listen, these are 2 dudes that Arizona is getting back that exhausted their eligibility. I'm sure both of them went through the whole entire draft process. And now, due to being sued, essentially the NCAA has to let these guys play. This is interesting. Speaking of interesting, the rich get richer. So one team that we absolutely have to discuss when we talk older guys, because remember, this was a big narrative last season for the Indiana Hoosiers. You know how I feel about Curt Cignetti, but Curt Cignetti, the rich are getting richer because they also have had 2 really good players that are currently in process of coming back to college football after exhausting their eligibility. So defensive lineman Stephen Daly, who was a starter most of the season prior to getting hurt, and then also linebacker Kellen Wyatt. So these are 2 significant additions for an Indiana defense that did lose some guys, right? They did have some attrition in regards to losing guys, especially on the defensive front. It doesn't even matter. It don't matter because they had one of the best transfer portal classes. I'm not talking rankings. Who cares about the rankings? I'm talking player for player additions. They did a phenomenal job in the portal. Now, along with their portal additions, they're bringing back experienced guys who were starters. Stephen Daly. So let's look at Stephen Daly's stats before he got hurt. So keep in mind, this guy transferred from Kent State. He led the Big 10 in tackles for a loss with 19.5 tackles for a loss. He also had 5.5 sacks last season. Keep in mind, this guy only played, I think, 7-8 games last season before having a season-ending injury. This is scary business when we talk the rich getting richer, and this absolutely could alter my entire prediction when we talk college football playoff and teams that I think will win their conference. And we're going to talk about the playoff format because that's changed. This is a huge, a big time addition for the Indiana Hoosiers up there in Indiana, being able to bring back a seasoned starter. This is crazy. Along with Stephen Daly, we can't forget Kellen Wyatt. Kellen Wyatt at linebacker, pretty good linebacker as well. So he also got after the quarterback and got behind the line of scrimmage. He had 8 tackles for a loss, 2.5 sacks in just 7 games. And he also had a season-ending injury. This is absurd. The crazy thing about this, and I hear a lot of people, right? I hear a lot of analysts saying, oh, well, these older guys shouldn't be playing with these 18 and 19-year-olds. Listen, let's just be honest, right? So if you follow college football for a long time, you know that is just analyst speak. And the reason I say that is because how many true freshmen that are 18 or redshirt freshmen even that are 19, how many of those guys are actually playing across the college football landscape? Historically, how often do you hear of a true freshman or redshirt freshman touching the field across all of these historical teams? And I'm talking blue bloods, you know, the top teams like the Ohio States, Alabamas, Miamis, USCs, all the way down to the smaller schools of the Kent States and the Temples. Let's be honest. So the only place I see an issue is guys who are over 25. We've had a lot of that with this whole era, the lawsuit era. That's what we're going to call it. We got NIL era. We got pre-NIL era. We got the lawsuit era. So there's my issue in the lawsuit era. Guys over 25, I think that cutting point should be 23, 24. That's the grad student. 25 and up, go get a job, man. And I don't want to rant too long about this, but I think it does matter. And it does matter, especially for a team like Indiana, right? Indiana was already going to be dang good this year. Now, on the defense, the side where they had some questions, they're bringing back guys. Listen, this is just 2 teams. I've heard rumors of multiple other teams. I can't go through all of it because in today's show, we got some hot topics. But listen, this is going to affect college football. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about this judge's ruling to allow students from the class of 2022 to come back to college football as long as they did not exhaust their amateurism and actually make an NFL roster? This is crazy. Okay, another hot topic. So the new college football format. Listen, I'm excited about this. I don't know if you have missed it or if you heard it already. If you have, great, you're going to hear it again. The new college football format is going to be exciting. I hope they find a fun way to televise it. So let me go ahead and read off what the new college football format is going to look like in 2026 now that they have made these new changes. So first and foremost, they got rid of the automatic seeding, right? They got rid of that seeding where only the conference championship could be the top 4 seeds. That's gone. However, 4 conference champions, every conference champion in the Big 4. When we talk Big 4, we talk ACC, we talk Big 12, we talk SEC, and we talk the Big 10. All conference champions from those 4 conferences will get into the playoffs. This is huge, especially for the conferences like the Big 12, like the ACC, who absolutely need someone advocating for them, because the guys on this committee, whether you agree with it or not, we know how it goes. They're trying to push a narrative. For a long time, it was the SEC. The Big 10 has been undeniable, right? And I like arguing with y'all in the comments, right, about who's the best conference, because we all see best different. But that's for another video. When we talk this college football playoffs, every single conference champion is going to get into the playoffs, and I think it should be that way because winning is hard. I get it. For fans, you just watch it. You just get to see these guys on the field, and you see the big names and expect those guys should win. You're right. But it's a fight. And if you ever been in a fight, anything can happen in a fight, and that's football every single week. So every conference champion will be in the playoffs. The highest ranked group of 5 team is in. So I think with the conference champions all being in and one group of 5 team having a guaranteed spot, I think they're doing this to try to prevent what happened last season. Last season, 2 group of 5 teams got into the playoff in JMU, James Madison, and Tulane, and y'all saw what happened. It was a bloodbath. And I think the issue with that is, okay, they're robbing us, the fans, right, of college football from seeing marquee matchups if that was another group of 4 team. That's how a lot of people feel. I'm not saying it's true because I am one of the few people who think the group of 5 deserves a spot. I look back at the year Cincinnati made the 4-team playoff and they lost pretty bad to Alabama. I think it was 24-6. I don't even think they scored a touchdown. It was 2 field goals. But listen, Alabama that year killed everybody. I think even in the national championship, they won by 3 or 4 touchdowns. Cincinnati was one of their hardest games. So I think there are a group of 5 teams who can play with the big boys. They just need to be the best and the right group of 5 teams in there. So they have one guaranteed spot. And then it's the 7 highest ranked teams, including Notre Dame. So a lot of people don't like this either, but Notre Dame, the Lucky Irish, you got to start calling them the Lucky Irish instead of Fighting Irish. I'm just kidding. I love y'all Notre Dame guys and fans. I think Notre Dame is going to have a phenomenal team this year. But if Notre Dame is ranked in the top 12, they're in the playoff. There's no more jumping or pushing Notre Dame out. And they're not in a conference, so I think that is accommodating to Notre Dame since they're independent and play a national schedule. So Notre Dame will be in if they're in the top 12. Here's where it gets exciting. Here's where I looked at these rule changes and I said, hold on, that's prime time TV. It is absolutely going to be as big as when LeBron James did the decision on national television on ESPN when he left Cleveland for the first time and went down to Miami and said, I'm taking my talents to South Beach. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, now they have added in that those top 4 teams, the top 4 teams that get a bye, what will happen with the top 3 seeds is the top 3 will get to choose their playoff path. Yeah. Oh, this is old school right here. Yes, so the top 3 seeds, starting with number 1 down to 3, they're going to get to pick their opponent. Ooh, man. Do y'all see what I mean by primetime TV? Imagine the pressure for number 1 to pick correct. Because if you watch college football, we all know there's a team that might be rated or seated lowly, but they're the most dangerous team. They're the team that nobody really wants to play. That was Miami last year, and it worked out. Miami got all the way to the national championship by being this team who anybody could get it, right? And Indiana did beat them, but that game could have went either way. This year, there's a lot of teams. So that being said, I am glad. I'm glad that I waited before I did my way too early playoff prediction in regards to who wins the national championship. That's coming. That's coming. You saw the 12 teams that I put up already. It's still going to be those teams. I'm not going to make any crazy changes, even with the new rule changes. However, look out for that video because I will be doing my playoff prediction prior to the season. Now that we got the new rules, and it's absolutely going to change what I already had planned out. Speaking of national champions and speaking of the college football playoffs, listen, I got to say, beware of camp national champs. Beware of the clickbait news. Everybody looks good right now. I look across the college football landscape, and that's why I've kind of shied away of doing too much reporting right now in regards to camp. Because one, I've been in a camp myself. I know how it goes. A lot of guys are going to look good against their own team. You get familiar with the play, especially guys who've been in a program where it's been the same coach multiple years. You get familiar with the plays. You kind of know how to shine, especially if you're stepping into that starting role for the first time. It's different if you're a transfer. Everybody gets excited when you see highlight real catches like what Cam Coleman has been doing out at the University of Texas. That's exciting, right? Everybody also gets excited to hear some of these true freshmen that I'm going to talk about later on that are poised to have a huge big-time season as 18, 19-year-olds in college football. There's only a handful, right? Every year, there's always a handful. But beware of the camp national champions, because there's a lot of teams that are being mentioned over and over right now that could underperform. And some of that could lead to what we don't want to talk about, but it's just factual: injuries and dismissals. Listen, some of that already happened. There's been multiple players already, unfortunately, that have been dismissed across college football. There's also been marquee injuries. So Kevin Jennings just has been announced that he's hurt his throwing hand and could miss time. However, Red Lashley is saying, hey, don't worry, Kevin's going to be ready for the opening game. It's scary, right? It's that time of the year where you don't know what it's going to look like. I want to tell you, hold off. Hold off on the clickbait news. Hold off on the camp national champions, because we're going to see stuff in that first month, right? That first month of September is going to tell us mostly everything we need to know for a good part of the season, not the whole season, because a lot changes, but hold off on that. Another big hot topic we got to talk about going into this season is schedule simplicity. Listen, I think we all got spoiled. And I look you in the eyes when I say this, you're spoiled. And we have to get back to getting you hardened and used to fight in a life where you're not going to get good college football games every single week. Yeah, I know. It hurts. It hurts for me to tell you this. And this hurts me more than it hurts you. But listen, schedule simplicity is coming with all of the major conferences switching over to a 9-team conference format. So all that means is they're going to play at least 9 teams in the conference. Do y'all remember back in the day when mostly every conference was right at 10 teams? There was 12, the Big 12, right? The Big 10, they actually had 10 teams back in the day. Do y'all remember the Pac-10? I miss those days when teams actually had the 10-team conferences, because we would get at least 1, maybe 2 really good out-of-conference games from mostly all the teams. And then they would be focused in on playing 8 games in conference. Well, that type of reality is coming back. However, the downside is schedule simplicity is here, and it's probably going to be here to stay from this season on, because teams going into this new 9-game conference format are all focused on getting to the playoffs. And multiple coaches have said it. So Steve Sarkisian, he's been a big advocate. He swears up and down that had they not played Ohio State last season, they would have got into the college football playoff. We also have heard of Kurt Signetti saying, listen, why play the hard games if you don't have to get into the playoffs? We are going to start seeing awful. I guarantee starting 2027 and beyond, because this year we still have some really good games for sure. Starting 2027 and beyond, we're going to see absolutely awful beatdown of games out of conference from some of our favorite teams. And listen, that's how it used to be back in the day, where teams would schedule 2 FCS teams that they know they're going to win. And it's great, but it's bad. It's great because you get to see your favorite team's entire roster, the second and third string guy. It's great for development as well. It's bad because us as fans, we've been spoiled. We've been spoiled to see these amazing out-of-conference games. We've been spoiled to now see these giant super conference where every single conference has 14 teams and they're all good teams, right? It's crazy. But with coaches saying it on the record that they have no plans or intentions to go beyond what their athletic director is planning from a game standpoint, these athletic directors' jobs are on the line based on these coaches getting into the playoffs. So just get ready. We're going to get some sucky games 2027 and beyond. So we have to really, really lock in and enjoy this season. Okay, I promised it. Let's talk about freshmen poised to have a huge impact right now. This season, 2026, I'm going to highlight 5 freshmen that I think this season are going to be undeniable. Some of these guys are going to be starters right away. Some of these guys at some point in the season, listen, dígame, listen to me. Some of these guys might not start game 1, but I guarantee you they're going to start at some point in the season. And we got to go up to Ohio State, into Columbus, and look at Chris Henry coming out of California. When we talk bloodlines, right? You got to talk bloodlines because it's a real thing. It's in his DNA. His father, rest in peace, played in the NFL for the Cincinnati Bengals. This guy is a man-child, 6'5". I think he's 200 pounds. Plenty of room to fill out his frame, but still a solid, bigger guy. Chris Henry is going to get on the field at some point this season, and he may not be the starter week 1 because they have Jeremiah, they have Brandon Ennis, they have the transfer, I believe, Devin McEwen. They've got a lot of guys at Ohio State, probably even more than what I just named, because they've always been very, very deep at the wide receiver position, even while losing some guys to the portal. However, if you watch Chris Henry play at all in high school, this guy is definitely going to make an impact this season. I've also heard some rumors. Now, this isn't in my 5, but I'm just giving y'all a little extra. Legend Bay. I've been hearing rumors that Legend Bay is going to touch the field this season, and it might be sooner rather than later at the running back position. But with Chris Henry, the guy is special. He's got a crazy catch radius. I can't see them holding him off the field for more than half the season where he's a starter. You're going to probably see him in every game as a rotational guy if he's not the starter on day 1. But guys like that who are freakish, who already have an NFL-type body coming into college, you just can't keep them off the field. Another big-time freshman, the number 1 overall player coming out of the country, the Gatorade National Player of the Year, Jackson Cantwell at the University of Miami. Listen, Jackson Cantwell is about to be a day 1 starter, just like Francis CeCe Maunoa was when he came out of IMG Academy. I think it doesn't matter. I've heard different things. Jackson could play right tackle, he could play left tackle, he could play left guard. It don't matter because my guy is going to be on the field somewhere when Miami lines up against Stanford in the first game of the season. The guy is too big, he's too athletic, and he's also too much of a freak show from just a physical specimen standpoint. 6'8", I think 325, barely has any fat for a guy of that stature. Jackson Cantwell is going to be special this year. He's a guy who I think could possibly get all ACC honors in his first year. There's not a lot of offensive linemen who can come in and start. It's the hardest position to recruit, hardest position to develop, hardest position to start right away, because coming from high school and then going into the college game, it's a lot to deal with. These D linemen aren't like high school D linemen in college, but look out for Jackson Cantwell. Absolutely think he's going to be a day 1 starter, barring no injuries. I just don't know if he's going to be right tackle, left tackle, right guard, left guard. I just know he's going to start. Let's talk about another guy who is probably going to start out at Vanderbilt for Clark Lee, Jared Curtis. Jared Curtis, this guy, okay, 5-star recruit. He was committed elsewhere, and Clark Lee was able to steal him. I believe he was committed to Georgia, I want to say, and Clark Lee was able to steal him and get him to come to Vanderbilt. Diego Pavia is gone. He'll be in a battle. However, from everything I've heard, everything I've read, it sounds like Jared Curtis is who we all thought he was coming out of high school, and he's going to be a day 1 starter. This is one I don't know. I don't know if I like it, and here's why. Let me tell you why. I hope that he doesn't have a situation in the transition year that ends up being just like the Dylan Raiola situation. So Dylan Raiola was pretty dang good at Nebraska, right? He started from the very first game. He played fantastic. However, the supporting cast, it took a while for them to get there. His second year there, seems like they really had things rolling. The offense was the right scheme for him, and then he bailed ship. However, in that time, the man was getting sacked left and right. I don't know. I think Nebraska had well over 20 sacks last season. I just hope that's not the case for Clark Lee and Vanderbilt with Jared Curtis. I think this guy can absolutely sling it. I think he has special talent. He's also pretty mobile. So I think the mobile side of his game is underestimated. Don't sleep on Jared Curtis. I do expect him to be the starter this year. Game 1. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. And I don't know if it's good or bad for Jared Curtis, but he's going to be on that field this season. And I'm excited to see what the young guy does. Being 19 years old, playing in the SEC is not for the faint of heart. So good luck, Jared Curtis. I want to see what you do as a true freshman this season. Another true freshman, this guy's a monster. This guy's a mountain of a man out of LSU. You're talking Richard Anderson, 6'4", 360 pounds. That's a big boy. God dang. Yes, sir. Richard Anderson. I think this guy Now listen, same thing I said about the offensive line. For the defensive line, especially interior defensive line, it's also one of the hardest to recruit, the absolute hardest to come in and start, and hardest to develop because the interior defensive line is different than the exterior. You can have a guy like Dylan Stewart out in South Carolina who maybe hasn't filled into his body, but it's just a freak show when it comes to rushing the passer and having elite skills and being able to produce right away. However, you got to remember the linemen down there in the middle, down there in them trenches, those guys are getting double teamed, sometimes triple teamed. It's a whole different world coming from 18 years old, dealing with a regular sized human being that's an offensive lineman. By regular size, it's a line in high school, 6'4", 250. That's a regular sized human. Then they go to college, and now you're dealing with these monsters, with these titans that are all 6'8", 6'6", 6'4". Everyone's over 300 pounds. Everyone, despite being over 300 pounds, is a big body. Listen, Richard Anderson has a true NFL type body type as a true freshman. I just want to see, are they going to be able to develop him to be a true starter from day one? I don't know if he's going to be a day one starter, but I do know this is another guy who will be on the rotation. And that's the beauty of D-line. On the defensive lineman, you don't necessarily have to be the starter to get meaningful snaps to the point that people forget you're not a starter. I think that'll be the case for him. I think they'll definitely work him in. Remember, this is the SEC. He'll probably be a co-starter type of player where he's getting tons and tons of snaps, but I think he's going to have an impact. I think when you have that type of body frame right there in the middle and you're a guy who's hard to move, all he needs is the right coaching and also knowing that Orgeron is there, who's one of the best defensive line coaches in the whole country from what I've heard. Whether that's his role or not, because I know he's kind of focused on recruiting, he's still involved. That guy's going to be good. We just don't know when he's going to start or how much he's going to play, but I do know that guy's going to play. Okay, and the final freshman that I think will definitely have an impact this year, year one, Felix Ojo out there in Texas Tech. So a lot of people might not know Felix, but if you don't know him, you're going to know him this season. So he was a guy highly recruited from every school in the entire country. Texas Tech. A lot of people saying they dropped the bag. A lot of people saying they gave him that big money, and they did. Well, normally when a guy is getting that money, especially if we look at the NFL model, when a guy is getting paid big dollars, that guy's going to play regardless if he's ready or not. I absolutely think this guy is ready. So I think you will see Felix, I believe it's Ojo. You're going to see him on the field this year at Texas Tech. I don't know if it's going to be day one. I don't know if he'll be a day one starter because same thing that I've already mentioned for the other guys on the offensive line. It's a development process. However, I do know from his athletic capability, I think he was a top number 1 or number 2 offensive tackle in his recruiting class. This guy gonna play. You're not gonna be able to keep him off of the field. It might not be game 1. It might not be until game 6, but he's going to be a significant guy as a true freshman in this 2026 season. Let's talk quarterback battles. There's some good quarterback battles that are going into camp where there still has not been a starter name. And we at that point, we're trying to figure it out. Hey, coach, when are you going to name a starter? At what point are you going to let us know who is going to be under center or taking the shotgun snaps come the first game of the year? So the big one, we're going to start right out with a bang. Alabama. Yes. So Alabama has Keelan Russell and Austin Mack. This is a very, very close quarterback battle. If you watch highlights from the spring game, listen, both guys, they look good. Both guys look like they can get it done. Even seeing Austin Mack in some of his cleanup duty, I would say, against Indiana, he had some really good throws. I think Austin Mack has one leg up. Remember, Austin Mack came with Kalen DeBoer from Washington, and he was highly recruited then as a 4-star recruit. I don't know where he's from. I don't know if he's a West Coast guy, but Russell was, I think, number 1 or number 2 overall quarterback recruit coming out of his class. He was supposed to go to SMU. He's a Dallas guy, went to Duncanville and spurred my Mustangs and went over to Alabama. But listen, at the time, I can't blame him. You got to do what you got to do. Alabama definitely, from a money standpoint, it probably gave him a lot more money. and he's in a true battle with Austin Mack. From everything that I've heard from different guys who know the Alabama program, it's torn, right? It's torn because Austin Mack has experience. He knows the playbook. Keep in mind, he came with Kalen DeBoer. He's been with Kalen DeBoer 3+ years now. With Keelan, he just has that high upside, much more athletic. Austin Mack's no slouch. Now, there's no shade to Austin. Austin Mack is still an athlete, but Keelan Russell is one of those guys who can do mostly everything that Austin can do, but Keelan can do some things that Austin can't do from an athletic standpoint. So it's really going to come down to who knows the playbook better and who the coach trusts more. And I do think that's going to be Austin Mack this season to start the year. However, if it's not going well, right, if they have another slip up come that Florida State game, don't be surprised if you see Keelan Russell take over sooner rather than later and really take this Alabama deep. My only fear and hope in these types of quarterback battles is nobody wants to see musical chairs. I think there's a saying that goes, if you got two quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback. And I think that's true. A lot of times you need a guy, and it's also for the entire rest of the offense to have that confidence. And that's our guy. That's who we can look to make them big time plays. Where else? What other places in the country got some big quarterback battles? Tennessee. Tennessee's another really big one. We got Faison Brandon. We have George McIntyre. And then, of course, we also have Ryan Staub, who came over from Colorado. This is another really interesting quarterback battle and matchup, especially because, listen, Tennessee is one of those teams. I've seen some comments from some of the Tennessee guys saying, hey, you didn't mention Tennessee in your playoff prediction. One of the primary reasons I didn't is because I don't know what's going to happen right here at this position, at this quarterback position. Here's what I'll say. Whoever wins this job, whoever is the guy who can protect the football, you're going to make plays. And I say you're going to make plays because this Tennessee offense is so explosive. They have a fantastic offensive line. I'm talking top 3, top 4 offensive line in the entire country. They have good running backs. They have receivers that can absolutely fly. All you have to do as quarterback in this particular offense, make your reads and don't make mistakes. Make your reads, don't make mistakes, because literally the Tennessee scheme is absolutely designed for them to score touchdowns, make plays. It's hard to stop. So I don't know who's going to win it out of Faison, George McIntyre, and Ryan Staub. I'll tell you what, I play college football. The game, EA Sports, it's in the game. And it looks like George McIntyre is the guy, according to the college football game. So we just going to have to wait and see. We're going to have to wait and see if it's actually going to be him. I think Faison Brandon, he just missed one of the guys that I wanted to put on my top 5 because I don't know if he's going to start right away, but he's another guy who could be the guy who needs to be definitely looked at as a impact freshman. Here's another team I haven't talked about as much in the offseason. I think this is a team that's going to surprise a lot of folks out there in the SEC. We're talking the University of Florida. Listen, Tremello Jones and Aaron Philo are going at it. From what everything that I've heard, this is a very close quarterback battle. It sounds like Aaron Philo will have a bit of an edge because if you don't know, Florida did get the Georgia Tech offensive coordinator. Aaron Philo transferred from Georgia Tech. So he knows this offense really well. He knows the reads. He knows what the offensive coordinator expects on every single play. However, Tremello Jones, this guy is a true athlete, great quarterback. This is a guy who he can make all the throws. It just comes down to who's going to be able to make the least amount of mistakes and make the most plays. I think in this scenario, given experience, Aaron Philo is probably going to be the day one starter. He's going to start the season. I can almost guarantee you that. However, that does not mean he's going to end the season as a starter. So if he slips up, if he's not doing what he needs to do, he better look out because Mr. Jones, that guy's a true athlete, great football player, and he could come and take the spot if Mr. Philo is not doing what he needs to do. Okay, in the last quarterback battle, this is what I debated. I'm like, should I even talk about these guys? I'm going to talk about them. University of North Carolina, Bill Belichick, this guy. Bill Belichick has been kind of a dumpster fire at University of North Carolina. But listen, okay, the guy has multiple Super Bowls. You don't just deny a Super Bowl champion. And he's a champion in life, right? His girlfriend, I think, is half his age. It's a little weird, but at the end of the day, he's happy. You happy, I'm happy. So what we need to be happy about is your quarterback selection. And what I don't like, right off the bat, I'm going to tell y'all, Bill Belichick said he's evaluating all 4 quarterbacks. Listen, that's never a good sign. Anytime a coach is saying I'm evaluating all 4 guys, that is never a good sign at quarterback, because quarterback is one of those positions where it's a true leadership style type of position. As a coach, you should already have 1 or 2 guys right off the bat that you know, okay, yeah, just off the eyeball test, these are the 2 guys I'm really looking at. Now, some of this could be coach speak, but these 4 guys, I'm going to read them off. We got Billy Edwards, we got Miles O'Neal, we got Travis Burgess, and we got Torrey Newkirk. Listen, whoever wins this job, I think, is going to need to really be the type of quarterback that can carry the team. Put everybody on my shoulders, coach, because for UNC, they're still trying to figure it out. Last year, that offense, I think, first game against TCU, first couple drives looked good, but if you remember, that same game, TCU blew them out. So I think UNC needs to establish an offensive identity. They need to pick one of these guys, and it has to be a guy who can really put the team on their back, and that usually is a guy who is mobile, a guy who is true dual threat, because if you're just slinging it, if you're just a gunslinger type of quarterback, you rely too much on your receivers, your running backs, your offensive line. I don't think UNC got all that going on. I'm going to just be real with you. I don't think they got a whole lot of that going on. So I hope one of these guys has the true mobile capability to support UNC and win this quarterback competition. Okay, so final key thing I want to talk to you about before we end it out is some of the new rules this year in college football to get excited for as we get ready for the season. So a couple of these make sense. A couple of them, a little bit of a head scratcher, right? So one of those head scratchers, I'll give you one of those right off the bat. They changed the pass interference penalty from 15 yards to 10 yards. And this one, I don't get it. Well, I don't understand it. It's always been 15 yards. It's 15 yards in Little League, 15 yards in high school, 15 yards in college. The only place it changes when you go to the NFL, right? They mark the pass interference penalty based on where it happened. I don't get this one, but they changed the pass interference penalty from 15 to 10 yards. Targeting penalty. Targeting is a hot topic, right? This affected the national championship. This has affected past playoff games. The whole rule where if a guy commits targeting, he has to come out of the game. And he's also going to miss the entire first half of the next game. They needed to change this. Finally, they changed it. So targeting penalties assessed in the second half of a game will no longer require the offending player to sit out the first half of his team's next game. Thank God. This has affected way too many big-time games, way too many playoff games, way too many championships. Even if it's only 1 or 2, that makes a huge difference when a key starter or guy has to sit out an entire half because of something that happened on a bang-bang play. I hated this rule. I'm so glad that they've amended it. We'll have to see what it looks like because there are additional things to this. So that's only the first targeting. If a guy gets a second targeting in a game or at any point throughout the season, I believe, this guy will have to sit the next game an entire half. However, for first-time offenders, that's crazy to say talking about football. I'm sorry, guys. But for first-time offenders, they won't have to sit the entire next game. They'll just be pulled out of that game. Targeting is good. Listen, concussions, especially back in the 90s, early 2000s, were rampant. It was a scary part of the game. It was a scary time. Scary time to play football. If you were a headhunter, you loved it, though. So crazy thing. I understand for targeting. We get it. I do like this rule change. Now, they did mention that this is experimental for 2026, so we'll see how it goes is what they're telling us. If they like it, they'll keep it. If not, they're going to change it back. The other big-time rule for the 2026 season, unsportsmanlike conduct. Listen, they're not playing around. Don't be throwing up no gang signs, doing nothing crazy. So let me read this off to you because if you do, you will get unsportsmanlike conduct. You might get kicked out of the game. So tell these young cats, tag them. Tag them on Instagram. Go to Twitter. Tag them in this YouTube video. Heck, I don't care, but they're not playing around. So listen to this list. An unsportsmanlike conduct penalty will be called if a player initiates any of these 5 actions or gestures. Any act of simulating the brandishing of a weapon. Yeah. Any of that shooting, any of that, you're done. Ja Morant would not last even 3 games. So none of that. No brandishing weapons, slashing of the throat, or nose wipe signal. Yeah. So the slime, all that. Yeah, they found out what that means. Somebody went on either ChatGPT or Urban Dictionary, so they're not doing none of that. And then taking your helmet off before the ball is dead, that one makes sense. And then also, of course, dead ball contact fouls, so late hits or any form. So this is a big one. Any form of pushing, shoving, striking that occurred clearly after the ball is dead, that's not a part of game action. So this one, I think, is going to be tough for them to enforce because this happens, I think, every game, dang near every play, right? I want to see how much leniency they give on this new penalty because that's something that could affect games. Think rivalry games, right? Rivalry games get testy. Rivalry games get crazy. So I just hope that this type of rule doesn't rob any teams of games this year in 2026. And that's why I'm telling you early, look out for this because this could affect those big games like the Michigan, Ohio States, the USC, Penn State, because they play this year. There's a lot of games, right? OU, Texas. I just hope we don't have a game destroyed because of an unsportsmanlike conduct. And then the last big rule change I want to talk about today is the 2 replay challenges. The head coach will now have 2 replay challenges per game. If a coach wins at least one of their first 2 challenges, they are awarded a 3rd challenge. So it's not per half anymore. Now they got 2 replay challenges for the whole game. I think this rule is fine. At the end of the day, they replay every single play anyways from the booth already on their own. So the coach is going to have 2 per game. Kind of, if you're weighing it out, maybe it's 1 per half or maybe it's 2 in the second half. Either way, don't blow it, coaches. Don't be that guy that's just out here throwing that red flag in the first quarter of a game that doesn't even matter. Don't blow it. But listen, I'm excited for the college football season. The very next video we have coming is my college football true prediction. Not just the 12 teams, but the team I think is going to win the college football championship with this new format. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for watching. This is the Daniel Roundtree College Football Show.
Daniel Roundtree got the football show.